is in for Al, monitoring and tracking it. Hey, Dylan, good morning.
Good morning, guys. There's a lot to break down with this system. Right now, it is still technically potential tropical cyclone 9, but it will likely become Helene later today. It is sitting down through the Caribbean northwest. Its movement right now at about 8 miles per hour. So because the storm is developing and likely will continue to strengthen, we do have tropical storm warnings posted. We also have a hurricane watch for the west coast of Florida, including the Big Bend stretching over into the Panhandle. So here's what's going to happen. We are already seeing very warm temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico. So overnight Thursday into Thursday afternoon, we could see rapid intensification from a Category 1 hurricane up to a Category 3. Then this is going to be the big question, because if it hits the Big Bend of Florida, it's not a very populated area. So this would almost be a best case scenario, because we're not going to see the impacts in a major city. Then it will continue to weaken and rain itself out as it quickly moves to the north. The fact that it's moving very quickly means flooding rain won't be as much of a concern, but wind and storm surge will be. We could see a 10 to 15-foot storm surge in that Big Bend of Florida. But again, that's if the storm hits at the time of high tide. It's likely the storm will hit just after high tide. So there is not a huge chance that we'll get that extreme storm surge. So that could help with some coastal flooding. So those are I'd say the better points to this forecast, but it is still likely that we could see a very strong hurricane, perhaps a Category 3 storm, and up to 10 inches of rain possible. So wind, storm surge, and some pockets of heavier rain could lead to a lot of issues in that area, Savannah.
All right, Dylan, thank you. We'll check back. Moved out of the... Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I thought the Eagles are #1 in something, too.
The division.
Okay. Sorry. I was with you. But congrats.
Yes.
Okay.
Way to go. Thank you, Steph.
Thank you, Steph. It's a little interstitial there. Let's get a check of Dylan's forecast.
Besides that potential hurricane, we do still have some severe storms expected today back through the Midwest, where we could see some stronger storms this afternoon and evening. Wind and hail probably our biggest threats with those storms. On the western half of the country, though, mild high temperatures continue in the upper 70s, low 80s through the northern plains, and record heat possible out in parts of California. That's a look at the weather across the country. Your local forecast is coming up.
Good morning. Pretty dreary out there. We've got some drizzle, even some areas of fog, lots of cloud cover, and it does stay cool again today. So near 60 this morning will only be into the mid 60s through lunch hour, mid and upper 60s once again into the afternoon, about 69 for the high, 66 degrees through 5 p.m. and staying gray overnight. Now tomorrow, another round of showers, a little more light.
And that's your latest forecast.
All right, Dylan, thank you. Still ahead, the busy holiday travel season will be here before you know it. And the race is on to hire more air traffic controllers. NBC's Tom Costello got a phone.
But it sounds really awesome. Guys, also the maker of Ozempic and Wegovy, those weight loss drugs, in the hot seat on the Hill today over the high pole. But first, this is Today on NBC.
On factories so that they can build up. So we're in the early innings, I think, of what the price point will be for Americans. But right now, for a lot of people, it is cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
Christine, thank you.
Thanks, Christine. 7:43. Let's get another check of the weather. Hey, Dylan.
Good morning again, everyone. We do have some stormy spots this morning. We have a lot of cloud to ground lightning, some heavier downpours across central Ohio, back through Illinois, also just west of Des Moines, where we do have a line of showers and storms. There's a cold front that is sitting through the middle of the country, and out ahead of that front is where we will see more storms redevelop this afternoon and evening. Wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, some larger hail, just a low risk of tornadoes. But this area in the yellow orange here includes Lexington, Charleston, West Virginia, down through parts of Kentucky too, where we could see some of those stronger storms. Again, it's out ahead of this cold front. These will try to move eastward as we go into tonight across western Pennsylvania, down into the mid-Atlantic tomorrow, and then we could see some heavier rain tomorrow afternoon and evening as well, especially including areas across eastern Tennessee like Knoxville and also Atlanta too. That's a look at the weather across the country. Now here's a peek out your window.
Dylan, thanks. Trying to get some sun to peek through these clouds as we look into Nassau County right now. See a little hint of color change on the leaves there. 59 in Merrick, 51 in Poughkeepsie. We're at 60 in the city. We can see more cloud cover off to the west. So it's going to stay gray and cool today with those east winds 5 to 10 miles per hour, only in the upper 60s for the city. More of the same tomorrow temperature-wise.
And that's your latest forecast.
All right, Dylan. Everybody get your little ones in front of the TV. We got YouTube sensation Miss Rachel and a live performance. We'll get to that and your morning boost right after this.
Since my city
Al again with that and a closer look at the storm's path as well.
Yeah, that's a big threat. So I want to make sure that we break down the details for you because this could be a very strong storm as it moves through the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, it is still sitting in the Caribbean. It's called technically potential tropical cyclone 9, but likely later today it will become Helene. It's moving northwest at 9 miles per hour, and the forward speed of this storm should help prevent a lot of the flooding you get with those downpours out of a tropical system. We have hurricane watches in effect, tropical storm watches. We have tropical storm warnings down through parts of Cuba and into Mexico too, but it's right in through here, this area in pink, that we're going to be watching closely. The track of the storm takes it through the Gulf of Mexico, and watch what happens between Thursday early morning until Thursday afternoon. It could strengthen from a 1 to a Category 3 storm. That's rapid intensification thanks to just how warm the water is in the Gulf of Mexico. If it hits here in the Big Bend of Florida, that's an ideal location because it's not as populated, just east of Tallahassee and north of Tampa. But if it shifts a little bit, that could mean we could have more impacts right along the coast, especially when you factor in the storm surge. Then the storm, because it's moving so quickly, will race up and weaken as it continues its northward trek. Winds will be a concern. Want to point out that Tallahassee and Atlanta are some of the most forested areas. So when you have wind gusts up to 40, 50, 60 miles per hour, and all of those trees, that could lead to a lot of power outages in areas as far north as Atlanta, even though the storm will be a tropical storm at that point. Also want to focus on the storm surge. A 10 to 15-foot storm surge is in the forecast for right now. This, though, has to mean that the storm hits at the time of high tide. I think the storm will hit just before high tide, so that would help minimize the storm surge a little bit, but still coastal flooding is going to be an issue. So this is the area we have to keep a close eye on in the next 48 hours.
All right, then we'll come back to you in just a few moments. Meanwhile, we are learning more this morning.
Again, we will again. Vicki, thank you. Let's go to Dylan, get a check of the weather. You're not at that age yet necessarily where your kids are asking for a phone.
Luckily, I think, some friends are, but, no, luckily I don't have to deal with that just yet. We do have some severe storms possible today across parts of the Ohio and Tennessee River valleys. Watch out for large hail, damaging winds, with some of these storms developing, just something to keep an eye out for. Enjoy the mild high temperatures across the northern plains, 70s and low 80s, although it will be pretty hot out across the west coast and down into the southwest where temperatures could break records in some spots. That's a look at the weather across the country. Now here's a peek out your window.
Dylan, thanks. We're taking a peek into Nassau County. We've got more clouds and, of course, dry skies for now. We had a few areas of drizzle this morning. There may still be a few sprinkles out there, but it's cool again. 57 in Sussex, 62 in Merrick, 61 right now at Central Park. Staying in the 60s today, 69 at Central Park, but that east wind persistent, still 5 to 10 miles per hour.
And if you are heading out the door, look for us on the radio, Sirius XM channel 108.
All right, if Mr. Rook were here,
Best
part of the morning.
What you doing?
Sorry. That seemed like a good idea.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would be
So many people would want to play.
want to play that. Next up is Gladiator